The day the internet is destroyed will be equal to or greater than the Library of Alexandria being burned down. That's why word of mouth is so powerful and respected. That's why you listen to your friend when they say, hey, there's this great strip club across the street. They make amazing steak. We should go. And then you go eat steak. College was an interesting transition for me. COVID wiped out what everyone thought was going to be the college experience. I almost got thrown out for eating a burrito without my mask. True story. But how does one eat a burrito with one on? Anyways, at the same time, protests were popping off. George Floyd died. Sorry, I meant murdered. He was murdered. A professor I had would chew me out if I didn't specify with the correct vocabulary. And the horrors of what these officers did were plastered all over the internet, never to be forgotten, and they never should. That's why we have history books. I remember my mother called me frequently and told me to not be stupid. Don't make a Netflix movie. So I didn't think it was smart to tell her where I was marching that evening in Richmond. I saw a lot. Rage, graffiti, suffrage, pain. We walked for miles, crowding the streets with bodies. The city shut down traffic. There were so many people. Like a horde of zombies with coherent thought, the will to fight. And of course, our last stop was the police department. In the distance, I could see one officer with a megaphone pleading for the horde to stay back. Rubber bullets and tear gas loaded, allegedly. At the time, I was more concerned with the person behind me. Fully armed, camouflage, mask, not COVID, a mask. Assault rifle, pistol on the hip, combat boots ready to stomp out the face of anyone who got in their way. This man was just waiting to make a Netflix movie. And he stood alone. No one wanted to stand next to that guy. I understand their reasoning for bringing it. I understand why they feel the need to express their artillery. I just don't understand how it would help the movement. In history, the great John Leguizamo taught me and the rest of the world who cared to listen that the mighty Aztec warriors fought their battles with wooden swords to make sure that they would not kill their enemy, because they knew that more bloodshed would not help. And unfortunately, they died off from disease, from Europe, and their mentality was lost. I think my Aztec blood is screaming on the inside of me, questioning. Spilling blood isn't fixing the problem regardless of whose side you're on. The problem isn't who's running the charge, who's on the team, who is forced to sit on the bench. Does this strike a chord with anybody? That whole time I was marching, all I could think about was my father. He works for the police department. As a white man in a predominantly melanated community, lighter or darker than this, working in various amounts of departments for 19 years and counting. On that walk, all I could see, hear, and breathe was fuck 12. All cops are bastards. Does that mean my father? No justice, no peace. Does that include my dad? Is he held just as responsible for the actions of the devils that committed countless murders on innocent civilians? In short, yes. So how does he keep getting up at 2 a.m. every day? How does he go to work with that weight on his shoulders? Another memory I had was blue. I was 12. My parents took me to D.C. for the night, and we walked for what felt like hours. I was exhausted, my knees were buckling, and I was winded. And then eventually we get to this crowd, this massive crowd. And there was a stage that looked far away. And people were passing out candlesticks, white candlesticks with little cups. And then out of nowhere, a thin blue light shot out across the night sky. And a lady announcer comes on speaker and says something akin to, "Thank you all for joining us for the memorial of this year's fallen officers. We will now read the names of all the deceased." And the list was long. And people are sobbing. I didn't know why I had to be there at 12 years old. But I did know I just had to be there for my father. And I'm standing, embracing that memory, while furious Richmond citizens are throwing trash at officers for the tragedy that was committed by the same department that my father enforces to take care of my sisters, my brother, my mother, me. It's a trolley problem. How do you choose? And I'm asking because I can't. It's a lose-lose situation. What you're asking for is division when only a Mexican, Hispanic, Salvadorian like me, all we want to do is multiply. We wear that stereotype proudly. My life is an anomaly. In politics and society, I am a young Hispanic man who cannot speak Spanish, and I have to prove, regardless of the Constitution, that I am from here, that I am not from the motherland. I have to prove that somehow, in whatever way they deem fit, in order to stay with my family. I have to take the culture that loves itself so much and abandon it. Isn't that heartbreaking? What am I supposed to do, God, with this situation you've laid out in front of me? Because another man has been murdered. Which one, says the audience? That's the real problem. We can agree on.